It was cold. I could see my breath on the long trip home, which in my opinion felt very short tonight, because of my nerves, of course. I had been gone for a week, met up with some fellows that I attended junior high with. We went gambling almost every night that week. As I pulled into the driveway of the boarding home, I handed the driver my last $10 in my pocket. I heard the tires slowly pull away on the gravel drive. I stared through the window. I saw a group of men playing cards. How I longed to be back in Philadelphia with my friends gambling some more money that I really did not have to spend. But anything was better than going in to face Mary. We have not spoken since a few days before I left. 2 days before my trip, I brought up getting married. I knew she had cold feet before, but I had figured maybe that after I had given her some time, she would be ready. But I was wrong. She said the same thing that she had told me when I gave her the ring. I just do not know, so we left it at that. I took a deep breath, ready to go in and face whatever was waiting for me. As I walked in, I could smell garlic from the beef and potatoes. This was Mary's daughter's favorite, so I figured that the both of them were in the kitchen. As I came around the corner, I saw Mary first. "Hello, Joel. How was your trip to Philadelphia?" I smiled and replied, "Great. It was good to be away." With that, she turned her attention to her daughter Elizabeth and began to make her a plate. When she handed me a plate, I saw that her diamond ring was no longer on her finger. I stared at it for a few seconds and looked up at her. She had a scared look on her face as she set the plate down and drew her hand back. "Joel, and she trailed off. "Look, Joel." I laughed and cut her off. "Save it. It was not good enough a few months ago when I spent all the money I had, and it still is not good enough now." "Joel, I had never intended for you to spend all of your money on this ring. Here, take these." I watched as she unbuckled her watch and walked down the hall into her room. She came back with an envelope full of money. I glared at her. "Do you really think you can pay me out of loving you? I do not want money, or your jewelry, or the ring back, Mary. I want you to marry me and fulfill our engagement." As she teared up, "I cannot marry you under any of these circumstances, Joel." She trailed off again, now looking at Elizabeth, who was still waiting to say grace before we ate. "Can we please finish this another time?" And with that, she handed me the ring. I pocketed it and walked down the hall to my corridor. I sat in silence for a while at my desk. I wandered over to my bedside table and opened the drawer. There lay my hunting knife. I flipped it over a few times in my hand until a knock at the door startled me. "Joel, it's me. I just wanted to make sure you were okay." I quickly stuck the knife in my back pocket and sat down. I did not answer, so Mary walked right in. She wanted to talk, but I was not in the mood. "I have fallen ill, I believe. I think it is in your best interest to leave me here alone." I was not lying. My thoughts of killing her were making me ill. The thought of killing myself also made me feel ill. She stood up and walked to the door. She turned as she got there and stared at me. God, how beautiful she was. "I am sorry, Joel. I just do not have the intentions to marry you or at anyone at this point." She walked out and shut the door behind her. My body was shaking with rage. I knew I was not sick. This is what had to be done. If I could not have her, then no one else should be able to. I also most certainly did not want to live without her. I took a deep breath and yelled, "Mary, please come here." I heard her heels coming down the hall. When she opened the door, she asked, "Is everything okay?" I shook my head. "No, I am feeling worse. Could you help me get into bed?" As she walked me over, my hands were getting clammy, and my heart was racing so fast that I thought for sure she would hear it. Right as my body began to fall for the bed, I pulled my hunting knife out of my back pocket and struck her once in the chest. She let out a blood-curdling scream. I continued to strike her with it, counting out loud to myself. 1, 2, 3, 4. By then, she had fallen over onto the ground. I continued counting. 9, 10, 11. Then I heard, "Mommy." I looked over and I saw Elizabeth standing in my doorway. I told her Mommy was sick and I was helping her and to go ahead back to sleep. Mommy will be in there soon. She scurried out and shut the door behind her. I stared at Mary's limp body and felt the warm sensation of blood dripping off of the knife onto my hands and soaking the collars of my sleeves. I had done it. She was dead, and she could never be with anyone else. I then turned the knife on myself with a shaky hand. I took a deep breath. I could not bring myself to do it. I could not thrust the bloody knife into my chest. I sat there, for I do not even know how long, until I heard police sirens out front. This was over. Her life was over, and so was my misery. She died. Mine, I will never have to worry about her loving someone else.